Mildred Jefferson, MD, of the Right to Life Crusade.
Good morning. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, men and women of the press. I'm delighted that you are putting the public's right to know first, and if that were the case with all of your colleagues, we would not have quite as much difficulty as we have now in solving this very, very difficult problem, because the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts will be one of the principal speakers at the rally. I have brought 7 women from Massachusetts here that you will have an opportunity to speak with later at brunch if you will get back from the other news conference in time. It will be served from 10 to 12 because I believe that these women have stories that you need to hear. They are Margaret Britt, who is with Concerned Women for America of Massachusetts, Renee Marshall from New Hampshire, who represents women exploited by abortion, as well as the official representative to United Church of Christ, Friends for Life, Rachel Kahn, who is the head of Massachusetts Feminist for Life, Adrienne Denny, who is a Boston University student, who is the representative of the campus pro-life communities of Massachusetts, Mrs. Debbie Soderkees, who heads the Massachusetts Women Exploited by Abortion, Sylvia Anthony, who is one of the people who takes care of unwed mothers and has an astonishing record of reuniting these young women with their families, because there's often quite a bit of family problem. And from Oregon, we have one of our pro-life activists, Mrs. Jerry Guillieri. Well, I'm here, and we are here on this auspicious day because we are kicking off a campaign that's a movement within the movement to liberate women from this new slavery, which is abortionism. This is how we characterize the ideas that are being expressed by the people who are marching in the street. I don't like to speak from paper, but since we will release this as a printed statement, I have to read it to you. The people of the United States should be alarmed that there are those among us who would actually march in the streets to demand the right to choose to kill the unwanted, the unloved, the burdensome, the inconvenient, and the incapacitated. The demonstration of our adversary, human beings, suggests a lack of heart, soul, and common sense. It underscores that we are resolved as never before that every woman's organization in this country has got to deal with these issues a little more forthrightly than has been possible in the past. Because for most of the organizations, of the general women's organizations that support that point of view, there has never been any kind of really in-depth discussion of such issues. Now, in order to provoke that conversation, we are going to release throughout this next 12 months a declaration of independence of true women, not ones who want to be artificial men or something else, but true women. And of course, I have to give credit to and with memory of Thomas Jefferson. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for the majority of women to repudiate the biological bands which have related them to some other women, a righteous respect for the public's right to know requires that we set forth exactly what compels us to this kind of action. We reaffirm the words of our nation's founders. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and the first and most basic of these rights is the right to life, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes obstructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and to abolish it and to institute new government. New experience has shown that the United States is not subjugated by a despot like George III of Great Britain, but it is in danger of becoming tyrannized by collectivists of people who do not appear to agree that this democratic republic's premise is that reasonable people will make prudent decisions. In fact, there's very little protection for individual rights when unreasonable people make imprudent demands. And it is truly an imprudent demand for the right to choose to get rid of the unborn child. And because we know indeed that there is a collision course of these individuals and their organizations, we have the idea that NOW, the National Organization of Some Women, in alliance with the other alphabet organizations, ACLU, PP, RCAR, NARAL, etc., are in deadly collusion to obtain the private right to kill, all having the direct objective of establishing a socialist order to replace our democratic republic. To prove this, let's submit a few facts. This dreadful alliance, with a belief in abortion as an act of faith, which we refer to as abortionism, has indeed a preoccupation with selfishness and self-centeredness, a compulsion to alienation from the rest of the human family. And this has imposed a new slavery on women who accept such notions. Now, this somehow separates people, this dangerous idea, so that in this new slavery, you have women crippled to the point that they can never become men, somehow never grow into women, but in a metaphysical sense become just a little bit less than human. This dreadful alliance has used its position against capital punishment to woo susceptible racial minorities, and they hide the fact that their social planning abortion policies would eliminate the target races. Those who are fewer will disappear faster. This is not only genocide, this is national suicide. This dreadful alliance has used the poor as pawns in its battle to maintain abortion access. It applies a fascist solution, which now they call liberal, to keep down the costs of caring for the poor. They get rid of those who are going to run up the costs. This dreadful alliance has lured some women away from the responsibility to nurture and to care. It has encouraged women to become society's new terrorist, holding the unborn children hostage, extorting concessions from the society that they might ordinarily never, ever get. Through the willingness to detach herself from her humanity, it creates a very pathetic kind of individual. This deadly alliance has gone to the branch of government that does not derive its powers from the consent of the governed. It has persuaded the U.S. Supreme Court to find a definition of privacy, a word not included in the Constitution, which shields the private action of abortion until the bill must be paid, and then somehow it becomes a very public responsibility. In response, we, a union of women for responsible freedom, representing pro-life and women's organizations from throughout the country, appealing to the supreme judge of the world, commit ourselves anew to defend the Judeo-Christian sanctity of life ethic as the basis of the laws and customs of our society. We celebrate the model of womanhood that is the center of the family and the anchor of the society. A woman, however accomplished, who can still nurture and care, however competent, can still be compassionate, ethical, and kind. And for support of this declaration, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.